All right, we're live. GM, everybody. Welcome to what's going to be another great DevNTell. So, if you didn't know, DevNTell is a 30-minute window for builders to showcase something they're passionate about or have been working on in Web3. It's going to be an awesome project you've been working on, demonstrating unit testing best practices, automation goodies, smart contracts, how to structure a project, etc. Basically, if you've got a passion for something, this is your opportunity to share it with the community. And today, I'm ecstatic to have David on from Bonadocs. Welcome, David. Pleasure to have you on, man.
Yeah, hi. It's always great to be here to speak with other builders and just share ideas.
Yeah, man, definitely. And thank you so much for stepping up to take up the slot for today. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, man. I guess before we get into the content, did you want to give a introduction about yourself for folks who aren't familiar?
Yeah, for sure. I'm David, co-founder of Bonadocs. So Bonadocs is basically the future of like smart contract development and distribution, right? So we're building like a collaborative tool for documentation, integration of smart contracts in Web3 in general, right? So yeah, that's basically what I'm doing right now. Before now, I used to be an engineer at Consensus, and now Bonadocs is currently part of the Consensus Median Fellowship Program. So yeah, right now just to help developers improve their productivity and improve integrations in Web3.
That's amazing, man. And how long have you been working on Bonadocs? And are you working on it just by yourself?
So we started working on Bonadocs around Q3, Q4 last year. Currently working on it with a team of designers and engineers. There's myself, and there's Hamad, who is our CTO, right, at Bonadocs. Yeah, and we're just working on it together to it's basically developers building cool stuff for developers. I think that's a good way to put it.
I like it. Yeah, this is the way, man. Yeah, I guess in the interest of time, let's get right into the content.
Yeah. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, I think everyone can see my screen now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah, go for it.
so just like having an overview of what Bonadocs is, one of our major missions is to simplify smart contract integration through a suite of products and or tools, as they would like to like call it, right? So we just noticed that there was, based on our experience, me and the team, we had issues collaborating with other engineers in Web3 while dealing with smart contracts or building dApps. In comparison to our previous experience, like in Web2, we, you know, teams use Postman or use Swagger or like whatever collaborative API management tools. We just noticed like that was missing in Web3 for engineers. So the primary way people share contracts is through Etherscan's um, verification page or Instagram's contract page, right? Or they go to like Tenderly. And we just noticed that wasn't like enough to cement like into the collaboration part of working in Web3, right? So we are building like Bonadocs to simplify integrations and collaboration in Web3. So just like going by a few of our products or of our tools, and specifically I'll be demoing the Bonadocs docgen, which we'll get to in a bit. So a few of our tools are like docgen, which I've mentioned. There's the widget. The widget is basically a way to interact with your smart contract methods from anywhere, including your documentation, right? There's the registry, which is under development. So the registry is a platform whereby you can basically look for contracts or look for protocols on different networks, right, and interact with them directly from like a platform, an all-inclusive platform, right? So that's what the registry is, and we're working on like setting integration with like the linear network to enable their devs onboard people into their to onboard devs into their protocols basically and explore their protocols. Then there's the editor, which is something we're working on also for engineering teams to enable their developers, both dApp developers and Solidity developers, to work together and collaborate from a single place, which also include like things like testing, include like converting your contracts to NPMs, and other complex things that are very important for enterprise teams, right? So those are primarily what Bonadocs offers right now. So basically just like simpler integrations, much more human-like interactive documentation, and yeah, to help developers. So to speak more on docgen before we jump into the demo for docgen. So docgen is basically a beautiful interactive documentation website for your project in seconds. So basically, the idea is you can easily go from your code to documentation in just seconds without having to manually write your code, manually write your documentation. Then, because usually the way it works currently is people write documentations, right? And they have their contract page on it to scan. So they shared it to whoever is supposed to integrate their protocol or their contract, right? Which create like a form of like fragmentation. So what this does is you're enabled to publish a documentation website that contains both widgets for your smart contract methods, meaning you don't have to go to an external point to call your smart contract methods. You can call them directly from your docs, and you can also have the documentation in the same place, right? So just to quickly go over what that looks like in real life, I would go into, so we're going to use the Uniswap v3 protocol, right? So Uniswap v3 protocol is contained like the core contracts for the protocol and enables people to perform actions such as swap and the rest on the v3 protocol, right? So how it works, I've set everything up here just before the call. But yeah, how it works is basically you first have to install the Bonadocs docgen. I could just do it again just to illustrate it properly for everyone on the call, right? So okay, so this is the v3 core repo on my system, right? So just do npm install at bonadocs/docgen. Or rather yarn add, because I know I'm currently using yarn for this repo. So the idea is that we built like this hard hat plugin right into this library that enables you to just add it directly into your modal.exports under Hardhat. So if you come to your hardhat.config.ts, you import it directly here, right? And you're able to go down here, add this docgen object, right? So this should include more things like the name of the project. So let's say Uniswap v3 protocol, documentation, description. Let's see, core contracts of v3. Protocol. So the output directory property is basically the name, right? Like of the name you want to call your repo, sorry, your folder. So this folder is going to be where your documentation is in, your Docx documentation, which you generate. And under like deployment addresses. So under under a protocol, you have like multiple contracts, right? So in order to like have widgets, because documentation is widgets. So if you want widgets on inside your docs, right? So you can specify the particular contracts that you want to add widgets for each of its methods. So for this, we would like the Uniswap v3 factory, right, to be the contract that has widgets inside. So if you want like all of your contracts to have widgets, you'd have like add each of them. Like in Uniswap v3 factory, like if you go on that contract here, you'll see a bunch of them here, right? V3 factory, V3 pool, whichever one you want, right? You can basically add more contracts here that now have widgets. So you get to understand that in a bit once we publish it. So we can then go on to do npx. First, we have like cd into the contracts, folder. Then we do npx add hat docgen.
I guess while we wait,
Yes, it's
is
done.
this? Oh, it's done. Okay, so I'll save my question for later. Go for it.
Okay. Well, you could as well just ask it now, just before we open
Okay.
the UI.
Yes. I was going to ask, does this only work with deployed smart contracts onto like testnets and mainnets, or can this also work with local development?
Primarily right now, it's basically when it's deployed, like once you're already done, right, with the contract and all of that. But if you do not want to have widgets and stuff like that for now, you can basically just generate the documentation without the widgets, right? But if you want like it to have like widgets and all of that, you can, for interactivity, you would have like deploy it, so you have like the contract address, so it can be generated on the widgets in the docs. So yes, you would have to have it deployed to have widgets. But if you don't want widgets, you can just use it locally like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Although like once we have the editor platform out, you'll be able to have whether it's local, whether you've not like deployed it or anything, you can use like your API to set up your editor and interact it from there. So it does ask for like internal development. So like this docgen is mostly focused at external developers using your documentation.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So let's go into, let me stop what's the former site that was loading. So the cd site, right? And we install our yarn start. So I'm reloading the site. Okay, so this is just a bit of MDX, MD. I think I just wrote these characters and it would go. It has to do with the markdown model. Okay, so what you get is this full documentation here, right? So you have the Uniswap V3 protocol as written here, and you have all of the contracts. So you can see all the contracts from the protocol, and then you can see the Uniswap V3 factory, right? So as I mentioned earlier, because we added the contract address for Uniswap V3 factory, so we can to make it interactive, we have it here. So if you want like all of them to be interactive, you'd have to add the contract address for each of the contracts. Then it populates on this table. You can also like go into your file and change all this boilerplate text just to quickly set up your own documentation. So let's go to Uniswap factory. Yeah. So what we have here is basically methods and events for this particular contract, right? So let's take, for instance, we have this method owner, right? So usually if you go to Etherscan, you'll be able to see this owner function, right? But directly in your docs using the Bonadocs docgen, you can basically query it and get a response directly from here, right? So for instance, let's look for something slightly more complex, right? So do like get pool. So enable us get the pool address for a particular token pair with their fee. So you can basically see the parameters, and what you're supposed to get back from that particular function. So you can see, token A, the contract address of either token 0, token 1, token B, the contract address of the other token, and fee, the fee collected, on every swap in that pool, right? So let's quickly, okay, I think it's here. So we're going to use like a pool, an existing pool, right? So we're going to use this pool from Scan, which was created around like 2 hours, 15 minutes ago. So we'll take this. I'll add our token A. And this as our second token. And our fee would be 1,000. Actually, I think it's 10,000. And so we can query it from here. Okay. Let's make sure. Okay, I think that's where the issue came from. Yeah, so you can query it from there, and you can have the pool address, right? So this is just like a bit of a demo of what the docgen can do for you, and how you can quickly go from code to documentation as quick as possible. Just like a heads up, we're working on like something really cool with widgets also. So not only do you have like individual methods like this, because as developers, we just found out that the way actual development workflow works is the fact that you basically have a workflow which is like a DAP action. So DAP action are like swap or lend or whatever, right? And these actions come with multiple methods. So basically, you need multiple methods to perform a swap, or multiple methods to perform, lend, or you think of things like Acceler, right? That's like do like a token transfer. You have to do more than one method. So for more complex workflows like that, we are working on a code executing widget that basically allows you to call multiple multiple methods inside a single widget. And you basically can call it with code, with pre-written code, of course. And yeah, you can also perform like conditionals and all that stuff that you would do like on the front end of your app directly in your docs, right? So you have things like maybe swap, and you have like a widget that can perform a swap, just so developers can also see the JavaScript code on the front end that calls the methods, the solidity method that perform the swap, right? So it's just like gives you this form of simple integration where developers can actually see like, boilerplate code that enables them to perform a swap, right, directly in their own front end without like doing too much work or doing too much research and exploring too much, right? So if you look at this particular contract on Etherscan, what you would see would look like this. So this is the same contract, the V3. It looks something like, they look at the get pool method we called. This doesn't have like sufficient information, right? So, but if you compare this with, what we have here, it's just like way better experience in terms of like, documentation or sharing it to external devs without like looking through the code or finding out what each parameter is. Because like if you look at this fee here you basically don't have a fee, you basically have to look through the code to get what exactly they're trying to pass in here as a parameter. So this basically just simplifies our work at dev and also like enables like protocols to onboard devs faster without having to, maybe jump on calls or, have a much more hands-on approach to it. So just something that can be automated and fast. Yeah.
Yeah, this is amazing, man. Just like the quality of the documentation that was generated is like, yeah, it's amazing. It looks like somebody like hand wrote it, which is really cool.
Yeah.
The descriptions on the parameters, are those getting read from the smart contract comments on the function? or how are they doing
Yeah,
it?
so like yeah, so we are using we're using like in the background we're using disability docgen, right? We're passing the code through Solidity docgen to generate this within Docxara site, right? So behind the scene, yeah, we're using Solidity docgen to enable us to get each of the parameters, all of that. So therefore, obviously, that has to do like the not spec comment and all of that. So yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. And I guess the um, if for some reason the description on the parameter or something that came up in the document isn't quite up to your quality standards, can the developer go and change it manually?
Yeah, definitely. Because it's basically Docxara site. So you can literally like go into the MD files and change whatever, literally. Right. So
Gotcha, gotcha.
yes, they have full access to everything. It's all extensible.
And then is it also possible to deploy this set of documents to another domain? So say
Oh
like
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
so I was just going to say that yes, you can basically deploy it. You can take out, the folder and deploy it to like Netlify or whatever, just to share it to people externally. So yes, because it's Docxara documentation, you can basically do everything you can do with your Docxara docs with this, right? So yes, you can deploy it to an external URL or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Just like yeah, just thinking about this from a developer perspective, like we want to be as lazy as possible, right? So if we can just get a tool to just do this stuff for us,
Yeah,
you're already improving the quality of documentation in the Web3 space quite a bit. So that this is
yeah.
phenomenal. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
And if you want to add complex stuff like maybe guides and stuff like that, you can go on to create a new folder, right? Because these just come with like the contract folders, right? So you can go and create like a new guide folder and add your own external docs if you feel like you want to add more context to what your protocol does and all of that. So yeah, it basically one of the reasons why we chose like Docxyrus is because we just felt like it was one of the documentation frameworks that allows you to add, your own thing and just add the more context to your documentation and doesn't like lock you in, sort of the way like Gitbook does. And yeah, you can also add like React components using MDX and Docxyrus, and it's just perfect for web building.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And just curious, does the dark mode work at the top right out of the box?
Yeah, it does work.
Excellent. Excellent. Yes. uh, yeah, man. Yeah, this is great. Uh,
Interest.
are there? Yeah, go for it.
Oh yeah, so like I even have like other color teams. Like I can literally add more color teams and all of that um, to the widget. So yeah, it's pretty much extensible in that regard.
And are you guys just going to be focusing on Solidity smart contracts in regards to support to start, or are there plans to support other blockchain smart contract formats as well?
Yeah, so right now we're just supporting Solidity because like it's most widely used. Um, Basically, I'll build out more like the platform and the entire like tool set. We're basically going to be including much more like other languages. And maybe even include like other folks like Starknet and Cairo and all of that. But right now, I just focus mainly on Solidity um, for DocGen at least.
Gotcha. And is this something developers can use today, or is it in like beta, or how can people get started with this?
It's open for everyone to use today. It's all deployed to NPM right now. I think a good place to start is go to our Twitter page. I could add links to give me a second. Let me stop sharing and get these links.
And we'll be sharing all these links in the YouTube description if they're not there already. FYI.
Yeah. Okay. Start.
Paste it. Nice. And I guess the best place for people to start is to read the docs. Then I guess if folks are interested or have questions for you or your co-founder, what's the best way for them to reach out and to get support if they need it?
Right now, you can just reach out to me on Twitter, and I'll be able to see what's the issues and reproduce it and fix it right now. So yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then that info again will be available for everybody on the YouTube description of this video. And I guess before we leave, I'm always curious to hear what was like one of the biggest challenges that you guys faced while you were building this. Like, I'm sure there was lots of early roadblocks and whatnot that maybe stalled you or whatever. But yeah, it's always interesting to hear the journey of these things.
Yeah, so specifically for the widgets, one issue we had was we wanted the widget to be able to work everywhere, not just in the Zerion documentation. So that would also include other frameworks like Astro, or basically other frameworks, right? So we had that initial issue figuring that out, because every framework has their own setup. Some like SSR, like Astro, and we have to work back on it or using React DOM to be able to launch the widget separately outside the entire documentation and all of that. And one other thing we had an issue with initially was the themes, right? So just begin switching from dark mode to light mode. Well, it works on one documentation, right? But for another documentation, they have a different way of switching from light mode to dark mode, whether it's in local storage or whatever. So we have to figure it out for a few documentation frameworks to ensure that if you have these widgets in Docxyrus, it does work when you switch. If you have an Astro, it does work when you switch. So all of that was a little tricky at the beginning, but we're able to figure it out and just support a few documentations that way.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. Yeah, it was all worthwhile to get up to this point.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, you guys aren't done yet. This is just the early stages, and there's going to be more awesome features that you guys built on top of this, right?
Yeah. So right now we're trying to integrate the widget into the docs of different other protocols. We're working with Compound to make their docs interactive also. But at the end of the day, this is just a go-to-market for the product itself, which would be the editor and testing and security tools and all of that for developers also. So yeah, but this is a good way to have people to improve productivity and have people jump on the product immediately, straight indie devs.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, thank you so much, David. And I know Ahmad is in the crowd here as well. Thank you guys so much for coming on today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And
yeah, likewise. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, man. And just before everybody leaves today, I'd like to present you with the QR code to scan to claim your NFT for being an attendee here on DevNTell today. So what you want to do is scan this QR code with your regular QR code scanner on your phone and fill out the form, and you will be airdropped a NFT for being an attendee here on DevNTell today on the base network. And you'll have, let's say, 1 hour and a half from this moment to be able to do that. So definitely you want to get on that. And just again, thank you so much, David, for coming on and giving us this great demo. And yeah, looking forward to seeing how you guys continue to build this out.
Yeah, thanks. Shout out to the DevNTell team for having us.
Yeah, man. Anytime. All right, all. I want to wish everybody a very happy Friday, happy weekend, and we'll catch you back here next week for another great DevNTell. All right, all. See ya.
Yeah, bye, everyone.